All right, so I guess it's been about a month since the last mail call slash pickups video that we did. And quite frankly, the stuff is really starting to pile up. I don't know if I just have more stuff coming in lately or if, normally when I get stuff or I buy stuff, I put it away. And so maybe I don't realize how much stuff I'm constantly, buying and ordering and what have you. But anyway, I thought it was just time to do another one before the stack got any bigger. We've got the drapes open again. We've got some good light coming in. We'll see how that looks. Although I think this one seems like it's a little bit bright. Of course, that was the wrong one. Maybe more like that. Yeah, I think that looks better. I don't know if it sounds any different, but I do have a cold right now, so my voice is not maybe what it usually is, and maybe I'll be even more low energy than usual. I don't really know, but I got my tea here, so that if my throat starts bothering me, we can moisten it back up or whatever. So let's just get into it, because like I said, we have a lot of stuff here. So first thing we'll do here is postcards. Now I've got, what do we got here? Like 6 postcards that just came on their own. But then I also have some more postcards that came in packages. And so those postcards I'll show, when I show the package. So as I always say, these are in no particular order. This first one comes from Ben in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And it says interior of a mill, like a steel mill in Pittsburgh there. So that one's pretty neat. And then let me cover up his address label here because he put some cool stickers on the back. You see, put a Pittsburgh Pirate sticker on the back, and a Pong sticker, and a Chewbacca sticker. So those are pretty cool. Oh, and I should just also say, I know I always say this, if I'm showing your stuff right now, you have already been sent a postcard or stickers or whatever back to you. So either you have it or it's on its way to you. And of course, I just dropped all the postcards. Next one we've got here is from Corey, the other Corey, he says. He calls himself the other Corey, I guess because he's not Corey from My Life in Gaming, from Detroit. And so that's pretty cool. It's got a bunch of Detroit landmarks. Hopefully Corey is a Red Wings fan. If you're not a Red Wings fan, Corey, don't send me any more postcards. I'm just kidding. So anyway, that's pretty cool. Well, I won't say. I don't want to give away his identity, so whatever. Next one we've got here is from someone calling himself Chicken Fingers. I don't know if that's on Twitter or Instagram. Ostensibly, his real name is Max because that's how he signed the card. But then he also put @Chicken Fingers, so I don't know what that really is all about. But that is a postcard from Brussels, Belgium. But that's not actually where he sent it from, because he said here, I meant to mail this while I was in Europe, but I wasn't sure that it would make it. I mean, it would have made it, but I don't know. Either way. So, and then it actually has a Belgian stamp on it, and then he put 2 forever stamps on it. You don't have to put that much postage on a postcard, so I'm only saying that to try to save you some money, or anybody else some money. 1 stamp will do it. Even a postcard stamp is only like 30-something cents. But yeah, so that's a cool postcard there from Brussels. But then he also put some neat artwork on the back. So let me just cover up the address label here. That appears to be a cross between Axel from Streets of Rage, body, and I assume that's my head. So that is pretty cool. So thank you very much, Max / Chicken Fingers. I'd like to know what that means, Chicken Fingers. Next one we've got here is from Ryan in Pickerington, Ohio. And I didn't actually say where's this guy from here in the U.S. So this is Chicken Fingers from Middleburg, Virginia, right? VA is Virginia. Anyway, so now we're on to Ryan from Pickerington, Ohio. And this postcard has a caption on it. It just says, School Wagon Number 4, 1910. So I guess that is what the school bus was like way back in 1910. And so yeah, and Ryan is a live stream regular. Says here that he just watched me finish up Zelda 2 on the NES. So I mean, this postcard is a few weeks old. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. First time I ever beat Zelda 2. Next one here is from Joe, who on YouTube he is known as BitBarn, and he's another channel regular, CGQ Plus channel regular. And this postcard comes from the Telus Science Museum in Cartersville, Georgia. There, and it's got I don't know what that is on it because it doesn't really say. Looks, is that a sea turtle skeleton? I don't know. It doesn't. You would think on the back that it would. Usually they say, but this one doesn't. But anyway, that's a cool postcard. And then this last one just came today, actually. And this is from a longtime friend of the show. I think I can say that. Marcelo from Sao Paulo, Brazil. And he sends us this. And I'll just read the part just because to explain. Obviously, this is a picture of a field of lavender. And he says, this postcard I'm sending you is very special because I am the author of the photo. It's a lavender field located in the small town of Cunha. Am I saying that right, Marcelo? Cunha? About 150 miles from Sao Paulo. So that's pretty cool. And I don't want to sound creepy or anything, but it was funny that I got this because I was just thinking about you, Marcelo. So it was cool that you sent me a postcard there. And that's a pretty cool stamp. Well, I can show that. I don't know. I just thought that was a pretty neat stamp there. I don't actually know who that is, but it's a cool looking stamp. So that's it for standalone postcards. And so now we can just start getting into stuff. And as I said, some of this is stuff that I bought, and some of it is stuff that people have sent into the show. First thing I'm going to show actually is something that was sent into the show just because I've had it now for a little while. Because I think this came in the mail like the day after or it seems at least it felt like the day after. Yeah, it was. I uploaded the last video, pickups video, whatever you want to call it. I got this on the 14th of January. So, and yeah. So anyway, I know it didn't get a whole lot of views, but I recently did that magazine read through on the other channel of those Atari Age magazines. And so Rory, who, if you hang out for the live streams, that I'm sure you know Rory, he goes by the name Fire Rescue 7 on YouTube, and he sent this. And I'm not going to read his letter to you guys there or anything like that, but I mentioned the read through because he sent this based on that read through. And let me try to get it out of here. Oh yeah, here it comes right out. He sent this based on something I said in that read through, and I'll see if I can get this to unroll nicely. So this is a poster of the cover art of issue 1 of Atari Age, because as you may remember, this was something that you could order out of that magazine, straight from Atari, and I mentioned how it would be cool to have that. And I guess Rory found somebody who is making prints of that. This is not, it's funny, it's not original, but it's actually probably better than original because these colors are super vivid. The only thing, unfortunately, that happened during shipping is along this edge, it got a little bit sort of bent up. But it doesn't really matter because what I'm actually going to do is there's a print shop that I go to where they take stuff like this, like posters, and they actually mount it on like foam core poster board. And that's very useful for things that are no longer flat. But what I'll also have them do is probably trim off the white border and then have them mounted on poster board, and then I guess I'll frame it and try to put it up in the basement. But that's the exact same thing I had done to the Now You're Playing with Power poster that I have up here that I've shown on the show before, because that was, of course, a folded up poster that you got with your Nintendo. And so they somehow they fix it onto this foam core board. I don't know how they do it, but they told me it involves a vacuum somehow. I don't really get it, but anyway, between that and trimming off the white area, this is going to end up looking great. And extremely thoughtful gift, Rory. And so I really appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night, hopefully in the live stream. By the way, I told my wife about you when I showed her this. I said, oh yeah, he's a firefighter. And, jokingly, she was just like, ooh, you got any pictures of him? So, anyway, you can go tell your buddies that. So thanks, Rory. So the next thing, so now we'll get to a couple things that people didn't send me. Where I work, we actually have a thrift store on campus, which seems kind of weird, but yeah, I don't know, and I don't know where they get their stuff, because I find some pretty weird stuff in there sometimes. And a while back, I found a Video 8 cassette, and I think it was Basic Instinct. So I never knew that Video 8, that they made pre-recorded Video 8 tapes. Because to me, it's like, Video 8 is like, you bought a camcorder back in like the late 90s, and it would be a Video 8 camcorder, and so you would buy blank Video 8 tapes. But I guess it's kind of the same thing like with mini discs. I mean, the vast majority of the mini discs that were sold during its short run were blank, because people used mini discs to make like mixtapes and whatnot. Like, that's what I used it for. But they did actually sell pre-recorded music on mini discs. And so apparently they did the same thing with Video 8 tapes. And so I found that Basic Instinct tape like a year ago or something. I'm not even positive it's Basic Instinct. It's in my office. I don't remember. But I went in there, I don't know, the other day, and they had a whole new stack of pre-recorded Video 8 tapes. And all the other movies were either movies from like, the 90s or the 80s even, that I had never heard of, or movies that I had no interest in. But they did have this, and so I picked this up for $2. I got Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, I don't even have a way to play this, but certainly one of my favorite movies. I was going to say the best Thanksgiving movie, but how many Thanksgiving movies are there even? So, I mean, PT&A kind of wins by default. But it really is a great movie. John Candy was one of my favorite actors when I was a kid. And Steve Martin, too, really. But you see it comes with this little cardboard slipcover, very reminiscent of VHS tapes of the day. And then you get, for anybody that hasn't seen a Video 8 tape before, you get this little Video 8 tape. And yeah, there you go. I believe, unless I'm confusing my formats, I think you can buy an adapter that will let you play this in a standard VHS VCR. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure you can. I don't have a reason to do that because I can watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles digitally, but I just saw this sitting in there, and some college student's not going to buy this anyway, so I grabbed it just because I thought it was cool. Sorry, sip of tea real fast. So another thing I always talk about now is that you can never find games anymore out in the wild, which is true. But every once in a while I find some. You have to kind of recalibrate your expectations as far as what you're looking for and what you're going to pay for it. And so here in town there's a comic book store that also sells video games. The guy generally wants like, full eBay price, sometimes and then some for his stuff. So I don't buy things in there too often, but then sometimes you'll have good deals on stuff, or what I think is a good deal. And if you walk into a store and you walk out with like 3 or 4 games, and you felt like the overall price that you paid for those 3 or 4 games was good, then don't get too hung up on what each game was priced at, because what's the difference? And this is an example of that. So I think I paid about $15 or $16 for these 3 games, and none of them are anything really special to write home about. In fact, I'll go from most boring to least boring. The first one I got is just Arnold Palmer Tournament Golf, which I know is probably a snooze fest for some of you guys, but I've said many times in the show that I really like golf video games, even though I don't really care about golf. And for some reason, I've always had a hard time finding a copy of this game that was complete and in nice condition. And this game is both. It's still got the hang tab, which I get kind of funny about that. I really like having the hang tabs on my Genesis cartridges. And it's got the manual that's in very nice condition. And the cartridge is in nice condition too, and the case. So this replaces a copy that I had that I think was missing the manual and wasn't in as nice of condition. But I think this was like $7 or something, which is really too much to pay for a Genesis sports game. But again, I'm looking at the total price I paid for the bundle. And the second one here is another sports game for the Genesis, and that's Winter Challenge. And, I think when I did the video about my Genesis collection, I talked about how I sort of have this love for the ballistic/accolade games. And I didn't have this game, so I grabbed it. And they come in these cardboard boxes. And I think I only figured out once I got home that this game doesn't actually come with the manual. It comes with some other stuff. There's the game cartridge. It comes with sort of this reply card, which you can also use to buy a poster from them if you want, and is also supposed to be your warranty registration card. And then it comes with this control card for the game. But there must have also been a manual that came with it. And I looked underneath. So a little pro tip for you game collectors out there. Sometimes with these Accolade games, the manual will end up underneath the white tray in there. So just, always make sure that you're looking for that. But it's not in here. But that's okay. I didn't have this game, so it was cool to find. And a long time ago, back when Classic Gaming Quarterly was just a website and not a YouTube channel, for some reason I forgot what Winter Olympics that would have been. 2012. I don't. When was the last Winter Olympics? I don't even know. I was going to do a whole roundup of all of the Winter Olympics themed games for every console up to like the PS1 and Sega Saturn. Winter Heat, Sega Saturn. And of course I never got to it, but this was one of the games I was going to cover. So anyway, I don't know. It's just kind of cool to have. And then the last game, so this was a game that was pretty popular, I think, for the original PlayStation. And for some reason, I just missed it, and I never got to play this game. And that is Driver. Driver, you are the wheel man. And I think Winter Challenge was like $6. So that's 13. And then this game was only like $3. And that's why I'm saying, like, $16 for all three. Like, that's okay, I guess. And it says here, Driver is made from the creators of Destruction Derby 1 and 2. I like the first Destruction Derby. So I still haven't had a chance to play this because I don't have a PlayStation hooked up anywhere. But next time I have one hooked up, I will throw this in. But it seems like people have a lot of good things to say about Driver. And like I said, I've just never played it. The game is in nice condition. The case, not so much, but that's an easy fix. Next we'll do another package here. This is a small one, so it's pretty easy. This comes from James, who is from Canada, Morden MB. I think MB should be Manitoba, I believe, in Canada. And he just sent me this little bubble mailer and sent me a couple of notes here, which, we don't need to read the notes really. But in it was a postcard, which is a Mega Man 6 postcard, so that's pretty awesome. And then he sent, I'll read what he wrote here about this. He said, I included a commemorative coin from the return of our hockey team. When I was 15, we lost our beloved Winnipeg Jets. I know it sounds dumb, but our province was devastated. We never gave up hope, and in 2011, the Jets flew again. And he sent me this commemorative coin. And this is an actual Canadian, how much is this? 50 cents. I don't know what Canadian slang for 50 cents is. Like the loonie and the toonie is a $1 and $2 coin. I don't know if there's slang for 50 cents, but that's pretty cool. So on the back, it just has, Queen Elizabeth and whatnot. But I don't know if it'll come out on camera or whatever, but on the front, you can see there the Jets logo and everything. So it is legal tender. It's not like one of those stupid coins like you see advertised on TV. Like this, you could spend this, although I don't know why you would want to do that. But I said this to James when I sent him back his postcard, which you haven't got yet, James, but you will. But obviously I'm not like a Winnipeg Jets fan or anything, but I think it's a real shame that a handful of smaller markets, maybe traditional hockey markets, lost their hockey teams. And when I say that, I'm thinking about Winnipeg and Quebec City and Hartford and Minnesota, which, now, of course, Winnipeg has the Jets back, and now Minnesota has the Wild, but, they lost the North Stars, just like Winnipeg for a while lost the Jets. And, Quebec City lost the Nordiques, who became the Avalanche. And that's all Gary Bettman, trying to expand the NHL into new markets, and I totally get that. But, like what James here is saying about, sports fans in Winnipeg being devastated, like, I can totally get that, because, a few years ago I went to Hartford on a business trip, and you can still buy Hartford Whalers stuff there, like at the airport gift shop, stuff like that. Like, you can buy, jerseys and shirts and hats and whatnot, because that was their only sports team, right? I mean, I'm not missing anybody, am I? And I can relate to that just because here in Sacramento, the only sports team we have, top tier sports team, are the Sacramento Kings, NBA team. And, we've never won a championship, and the Kings are not great, but they're what we've got, and if we lost the Kings because they moved someplace else, that would be really crappy. And I mean, that's not going to happen. We just built a new arena for them. So, I mean, they're staying put. But so as cool as it is that, some of these teams were able to move into new markets and have success there, like, the Nordiques becoming the Avalanche and being very successful in Denver, or the North Stars moving to Dallas, becoming the Dallas Stars, and what the Whalers moved to, they became the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Jets, I believe, became the Phoenix Coyotes, because I remember that when all of this was going down, it was at least being considered that the Coyotes might move back to Winnipeg and become the Jets. Because it was like the Atlanta Thrashers, right, that actually moved to Winnipeg and became the new Jets. But I was rooting for somebody to move back to Winnipeg just because, it's not a major market doesn't mean they should have their sports team taken away from them. Just because the league as a whole is trying to be greedy and expand into these other markets without having to actually increase the number of teams. So I still want to see the Hartford Whalers go back to Hartford, bring back the Brass Bonanza. I guess I can't really see the Avalanche leaving Denver, but hey, maybe if the Coyotes thing doesn't work out in Phoenix, they could move to Hartford and become the Whalers, or move back to Quebec and become the Nordiques. At least Quebec as a state still has the Habs. But yeah, anyway, so, I know, I guess James knew that I was an NHL fan, but even just beyond that, I am a fan of the fact that Winnipeg got their Jets back. So I really appreciate that commemorative coin. I think that's pretty cool. So next we'll do something that is not something that somebody sent in. So there's this it's not really a newsstand because it's a full-on shop, but it's a magazine shop here in town. And what's cool about the shop is that you can subscribe to magazines at the shop, which means that when they get the new issue of something, they set aside an issue for you and they actually call you on the phone and tell you. So like once a month, I get a phone call, hey Chris, your copy of Retro Gamer is here. Just because I don't want to subscribe to Retro Gamer the traditional way, because I don't want that getting beat up in the mail. Because I save, I don't even know how many copies or how many issues of Retro Gamer I have. It's a lot. So I'd rather pay the premium, because it comes out of the show's budget anyway. I'd rather pay the premium and go in there and pick up a nice newsstand copy. And there's a few other magazines that I've subscribed to through them, like Mad Magazine. And I just started subscribing to PC Gamer for reasons that we'll get to in a little while here in this episode. And that's part of that is just supporting small business, because obviously with Mad Magazine or PC Gamer, I could just subscribe through the mail. But I like going into this place. And anyway, aside from magazines, they sell newspapers, and they sell books sometimes. And so last time I was in there picking up something else, this caught my eye on the shelf, Video Game Creators. And it's written by this guy, Alejandro Arbona, who I've never heard of. And yeah, it's just, it is what it sounds like. It's a book about video game creators. And it talks about like some of these people and things they've created. It's sort of a very poppy, history of video games kind of thing, but it goes all the way up through the modern day, like PS4. And I just like the artwork. I mean, you see Shigeru Miyamoto there on the cover. I don't know. I just thought it was a cool book, and it was only $15. And it's just something to sort of add to the Classic Gaming Quarterly research library, which if anybody wants to see at some point, I could do an episode and just show all of my video game history books, if that would be of interest to people. But yeah, I just thought it was a cool book. Like I said, $15 for a hardcover book. I mean, you can't really beat that. And but like I said, that being said, I really haven't had a chance to read it. I've really just kind of given it a flick through. But oh, look at that. They got a little thing, a little blurb here about Hiroshi Yamauchi, and then look at the picture of him there. That's pretty neat. But yeah, anyway, should be cool. Cool book to dig into. Next we'll do another thing that was sent into the show. So this was sent to me. I got this again about 2.5 weeks ago. And this came from this guy, Akil. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, hopefully. Akil from Maple Heights, Ohio. Akil, again, he's been a regular viewer of CGQ Plus for a while now, and he does hang out for the live streams. And he sent this based on the flashback episode that I did about Radio Shack. I showed the, at the time, lone issue of Whiz Kids that I had, which was the free comic book that Radio Shack gave out back in the day. And I guess he spotted another one at the stores, in a comic book shop or something. And he sent it to me. And so, and it's kind of funny, Akil, so the post office where I go, the post office where the CGQ PO box is located is right around the corner from the comic book store where I got these Genesis games and Driver. And so when I opened your envelope, I had to walk past the comic book store just to get back to my car. And so I ducked in there real quick and I bought, a board and a bag to stick it in. So yeah. So that's the book I got from Akil. That's pretty awesome. And then he included a postcard, which I'll show just because he made it. So that's certainly worth showing. And so I didn't know you could buy these. I guess it says it's unless you glued it. No, I don't think you did. Because it says it's a Strathmore brand, which Strathmore makes like sketchbooks and like art supplies, like paper-based art supplies. And because it has all the normal stuff already printed on the back, like for you to put your address and place stamp here, etc. But it seems like the front was blank, and then Akil festooned it with this cool Samus artwork, from the Metroid series, and that appears to be pencil followed by inking and watercoloring, because he even says on the back, "Sorry for the water damage. Excuse the card's condition. I used watercolor on Samus." Well, I think the card's condition is just fine. But he actually said something on the back that I wanted to kind of just address real quick, just because I agree with him. And he says, "I love the shows, especially the live streams. It's cool that they're small enough that people recognize each other and you can acknowledge regular viewers." And that is so true. I guess I can now say that I've done both, right? I have my main channel, and it's got over 100,000 subscribers now, and that's great and everything. But, when you first start out on YouTube, it's just like all you want is like subscribers. Like I want more subscribers, and I want more views, and et cetera, et cetera. And you don't realize that all comes at a price. And for that reason, it's nice, that CGQ Plus is small, because it would be very hard. You could imagine if somehow CGQ Plus had 100,000 subscribers, that it would be very hard for me to recognize that there were all these regulars, and for you guys who are regulars to kind of get to know each other in the chat, and and just dealing with the trolls and all of that nonsense. And so, like, for me, CGQ Plus is a good size, and the channel is growing. I mean, the sub count creeps up, steadily, and that's nice, I guess. But to me, it's like it's a good size the way it is, and I don't really need it to get any bigger. And so I agree with you 100% that it's a good size the way it is now, and I like it for all the reasons that you said. So thank you for the very thoughtful issue of WizKids. So next, what should we do next? We got a lot more stuff that people sent than I have stuff that I bought. So, well, here, how about this? Let's take a little kind of an intermission, because for the next thing that I have to talk about, it kind of goes along with something that, for reasons you'll see in a second, I can't hold up and show you. So, I don't know what it was, like 3 weeks ago maybe, I was supposed to do a live stream with the Atari Jaguar. And if you watch the live streams, you've already kind of heard this story to a certain extent. But, I start those live streams at like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. And so, I get home from work and I don't really have a whole lot of time to mess around. Like I can come home, put my stuff down, maybe have a snack and, prepare myself like a beverage to take downstairs. And then I pretty much have to get rolling with the stream. So generally, I set everything up for the stream either on Tuesday morning before work or Monday night. And that's what I did in this case. So I got my Jaguar down there and the Jag CD, and I got everything all hooked up. And at first it was working just fine, and then, all of a sudden the capture hardware was no longer cooperating. And I didn't know if it was the capture device itself, or I didn't know if it was the upscaler, which is an OSSC, or if it was the computer somehow. But when I bought that computer, which was about 5 months ago, I guess, 6 months ago, 5 months, I don't know, it was in August, however many months ago that is. It was kind of an impulse purchase. I picked it up at Costco. It was on sale. It was a very cheap, like $500, 500 and something dollar Hewlett Packard desktop tower. And my logic was that this is really only a computer that I'm going to use for live streaming and footage capturing. And so I don't need some kind of powerhouse computer. But I needed a desktop that had expansion slots in it because sometime last year I bought a pretty high-end capture card. The whole point of buying a desktop computer was to put this card in the computer. But, when I got that computer home, I got everything set up and I was using this external StarTech USB 3.0 capture device with the OSSC, and everything was just working fine. And so I just kind of left it all alone, which is my fault. And so when this happened with the Jaguar and things weren't working out, the first thing I wanted to do was finally take that card, that Epiphan card, and put it into the computer. So I open up the computer and find that even though on the back of the computer there were 4 expansion slots, seemingly, one of them being taken up by the discrete video card that the computer had, when you open up the case, you see that there are not 3 open PCIe slots on the motherboard. There's just solder pads. There was one 1X slot that was there, but the other 2 slots were non-existent, and the Epiphan card is a 4X card. So basically, I could not use this computer with this capture card. And, even though I got the computer at Costco, it had been 5 months, and Costco has really kind of clamped down on taking returns. So any electronics you buy now at Costco has a 90-day return policy, if you just don't like it. Now, I mean, the computer has like a 3-year warranty, but there was nothing wrong with the computer. I had no way of knowing that it didn't actually have the slots on the motherboard. Like, it didn't say anywhere on the box or anything like that. But even still, like, I had 3 months to get the computer set up or to open it up, make sure, and I kind of knew in the back of my mind that I really needed to get that card into the computer and test it and make sure it worked, so that I could still return the computer if I needed to. And I just didn't do it. And so I could blame HP for making a crappy, cheap computer, or I could blame Costco for not taking it back once I described the problem to them. But ultimately, it was my fault. So I figured the only thing I could do is try to turn lemons into lemonade and scavenge what I could out of the computer and basically build a new computer. And so that's what I did. I figured as long as I said all that, I'll just quickly show you the computer, and then that way you can see this is the computer that I'm using for doing the live streams and for recording footage. So quickly, let's go down to the basement and check out the new official CGQ streaming computer. All right, so I know I obsess too much about the lighting, but I mean, even you have to agree the lighting down here is suboptimal for doing this kind of thing. But I didn't want to drag my video lights down here just to make a little quick thing about the computer. And anyway, I know I've shot videos down here before, so I mean, we've all been in the basement. So this setup right here really is like Command HQ for doing live streams. So, you know, here I've got my computer back there, which I'll show in a second, with the monitor and a keyboard. And then there is my PVM that, you know, the game is displayed on for me to play. And then I don't know when this video is actually going to go up. As I think I already said, today is Monday. Tomorrow night is when the live stream is going to happen. And, you know, we're streaming the Sega CD. So I've got my Genesis Sega CD and then a whole mess of games over there. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to go ahead and take the camera off of the tripod so we can check things out more closely. All right, so I know I've said this before, but just to say it again, I don't usually handhold a camera when I make my videos, so I'm certainly not very good at this. Just once again, there's the Genesis with the Sega CD, and here's some of our game selection for tomorrow. I've already kind of put together a pile of definitely plays, and then some maybe plays, and then some, you know, we're not going to plays. And I know I've explained this several times in the live stream before, but just once again, output from the console goes up to the PVM, out of the PVM into an OSSC. Here are some postcards if you haven't gotten one yet, and some stickers back there. Output of the OSSC goes into this computer, which is what I'm going to show you now. And it's probably going to be easier if I turn this light on, but oh yeah. So I'll just show it to you first off, and then we will turn it on. The case here is an N. I don't know if you're supposed to just spell it out NZXT, or if is it NZXT? I don't really know. It's an NZXT H500. So this case was $70. This I bought locally. I went to Fry's Electronics, but I think everything else I got on Amazon. The motherboard in there is an MSI Z370A Pro. I see it on there. So I don't know if anybody cares about the motherboard. Again, the CPU is the CPU out of the old computer, which is just an Intel Core i5 8400, I think. And then right next to it there is 16 gigabytes of RAM. But that also came out of that crappy Costco computer. And we'll fire it up in a second, but there is the video card. And so the card is an Asus Republic of Gamers GTX 1060 with 6 gigabytes of RAM. And it's I don't know what Strix is. Somebody else can tell me what, I don't even know what that means. And then below that is the capture card, which you really cannot see because the system's off. But we'll go ahead. Unfortunately, I have to reach all the way back here to turn it on. And then just if anybody cares, that's a USB floppy drive, which I have going because I was making discs for that Tandy 1000 SX, which is going to be the subject of its own video later on. So now the computer is on. I really didn't want a computer, or a case rather, with this window, just because I thought that kind of stuff was a little bit silly. But now that I have it, I have to say that this actually looks really nice. This H500 case has a lot of options for cable management in a panel that's actually behind the motherboard, which is also where the hard drives are. So I took the hard drive out of the old computer. It was I think it was just a 1 terabyte mechanical drive. And that's in this computer as like the D drive for storage. And then I bought a Samsung Evo 860 or whatever, 500 gigabyte SSD, and that's the boot drive in this guy. So there you can see the Republic of Gamers video card there. You can kind of barely make it out. There's actually a support piece that I bought on Amazon to put under the video card because it was actually sagging quite a bit. And it was just, people say it's all right, but it was just making me nervous. And then if you can see that little green LED on down there, that is the LED on the capture card. It's a very small capture card. It doesn't need to be that big. So, I mean, that's probably not even that fun to look at. And then, just because of the way I have this set up, I have to have all the cables and whatnot back here. So, on top of line out, there's the line in. So the capture card is video only. So the audio just goes into the line in on the computer's, audio inputs and outputs. And then you can see right there that DVI cable, that's going into the capture card because the output here is just HDMI going in to this LG monitor. And then we're going to load up there. Oh, by the way, if anybody wants to see my super snazzy wallpaper on my computer there, I kept meaning to put this wallpaper up so anybody that wants it could download it, but I just kind of haven't gotten around to doing that yet. So anyway, here is the OBS software. Like currently you can see it's kind of, configured the layout or whatever for classic console streaming. I also have a separate one for doing classic computer streaming. So if we go up here and turn on the PVM and then turn on the Genesis, now we see that the Sega CD is booting. And then just because of the way this whole thing is, I do have to adjust this. So yeah, there you go. That's it. Oh, you can see me down there in the corner with I got this little Logitech HD webcam. I don't even remember what the model number is. I mean, I don't think anybody really cares. But yeah, so there you go. That's the streaming setup with the computer. Sega CD is waiting for somebody to come along and put a CD into it. And yeah, I'll talk about the Sega CD obviously more during the live stream. I just got it back from being recapped and otherwise serviced. So now this thing is ready for many more years of regular use. All right, so that's that. And the whole point, I guess, of all of that is just to explain what happened with this next thing. So, when all of this happened, after I got that computer built, I hooked the StarTech capture device back up to it, and it still didn't work. Although it kind of works, because I ended up, so the night that I was supposed to do the Jaguar live stream, I ended up streaming Super Turrican 1 and 2 on the Super NT, and I still used the StarTech, and it took that HDMI signal out of the Super NT just fine. But I was having the same problem with the OSSC. Like, it's not like it never worked. It's just like sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't sync, and I don't know. And so, I got the Epiphan installed in there, and so to me, I was just like, okay, that's it, But, I think I had posted a picture on Twitter of the new computer, and I think I just put like RIP StarTech at the end of the tweet. And my buddy Todd, famously of Todd's Nerd Cave, pointed out to me, he said, hey, those StarTech things have like a 2-year warranty, which I'm just so used to everything you buy now having like a 90-day warranty that the whole idea of doing some kind of warranty claim with the StarTech honestly never even occurred to me. But I looked, and sure enough, he was right. They have a 2-year warranty. So I had to call their 800 number, StarTech's 800 number, and I explained to the guy what happened, and I explained what I had already done to troubleshoot. And he basically just said, well, you already did everything I would have told you to try, so it sounds like your capture device is just bad. And so he had me fill out some kind of online RMA form. And I got an email like 2 days later saying, we're sending you a new one. And so that's what they did. So like a week later or something in the mail, they just sent me a whole brand new one. It's not even like a refurbished one, or, I would have expected that they would have sent just the device itself, but they just sent the whole retail shebang-a-bang and told me I didn't have to send back the old one, which, I don't know what I want to do with the old one. It's ostensibly broken. But, my channel is not in any way sponsored by StarTech. It's not like I said, hey, I'm a famous YouTube guy. They have good customer service, and they honored their warranty and popped me a new USB capture device in the mail. I guess this is no longer going to be my primary capture device just because now I have the Epiphan set up. But, with stuff like this, I find that, you might think you don't need something like this anymore and get rid of it, and then something will happen where you do. Like, for instance, this capture device can take an analog input, like a composite component S-video, which the Epiphan card cannot unless you buy a daughter board for it, which costs like $250. So I'm not going to be doing that. So this will still be useful for that. And who knows if I wanted to do like direct from camera capturing for something, like if I was doing a live stream where maybe I was using the Epiphan to capture some video source, but instead of using a webcam, I wanted to use a real camera. I could use this. So it'll still be nice to have. But anyway, my point. People have asked me before what video capture hardware I use, and this is one of the things I use. And would I recommend it? I mean, mine broke. If you look online, I don't see a lot of complaints from people saying these things are breaking. So, I mean, anything can break, and they were very good about honoring the warranty. So I would still, if I was in the market for a video capture device, I would still buy one of these over an Elgato, which I have two Elgato devices, and they when they work, they're great, but they're also the source of a lot of headaches. So I would still take this over an Elgato. Sip of tea real quick. Next, this next thing I got is from Michael up in Lake Oswego, Oregon. And, Michael has sent quite a few things into the show. He sent me some t-shirts. He sent me the Super Nintendo Mini, postcards. And, he really is way too good to me. But he sent me an email and he said, what's your favorite controller color? And so I figured when he asked for a reason, right? And I told him, and I asked why, and he said he was going to send me one of these things, and I honestly just forgot to answer his last email, and then this just showed up in the mail, and that's one of these Brawler 64 game pads, and the one he sent me, well, it tells you what color it is on the front, but we'll take it out of the box real quick and check it out. So I backed this project when it was a Kickstarter thing, and I got one of the Kickstarter units, which of course had the problem with the shoulder button interfering with the analog stick, and which was disappointing. And they did send out the parts that you had to put in there to swap out to fix it, which I did do. But still, it just kind of left a little bit of a, I don't know, it's not a bad taste in my. It's just disappointing that, here you have this company that's trying to go and do something like this that isn't just, one of these El Cheapo brands that you regularly see at the game stores. And then to have them kind of stumble out of the gate like that was just like, you kind of felt bad for them, but at the same time, it's like, how did you not catch that? But so anyway, whereas the controller that I already had is just kind of boring, it's gray, and did have to be repaired, which means I had to open it, and I think I had to break something on the inside just to get it open. I don't remember. This is one of the fixed, repaired designs. So it's definitely cool to have. And so I am sorry, Michael, that I didn't reply to your email. That wasn't intentional. But yeah, so anyway, so thank you very much for sending this. And so this is I don't know what the official designation of this color is. It's basically a transparent blue, aqua blue, really cool color. And then it comes with some kind of little pamphlet here. Quick Start Instruction Manual. And they show you the other colors that it comes in, which somebody, I'm not the world's biggest Nintendo 64 expert, but I believe that these were the various transparent colors that you could get the Nintendo 64 in once they started doing that. And if I'm wrong on that, then I'm sure somebody will let me know. But when I first got this, when I got the Kickstarter one, people were asking me like, oh, you should do a review video. And as I've been saying lately, I just don't want to do hardware review videos anymore. But I will just say that I really do think that this is a very nice controller. I don't know what the price point is of this now. It was $20 when it was a Kickstarter thing. I think maybe now it's like 25 or something, because it was a deal if you kickstarted it. But for that price, I really, there's nothing about this that I can really fault. The plastic to me doesn't feel especially cheap. In fact, I would say this. I think the plastic on this controller feels better than my original Brawler 64. I don't know if they're using different plastic or what. Maybe it's all in my head. But this to me feels nicer quality than sort of the Revision 1 controller, if you want to call it that. It's got an analog stick that's more reminiscent of like the analog stick on the Rory mini pad, or maybe on the GameCube controller. I don't know about that. But and it's got sort of a poor man's octo gate on it, because it's sort of got this octagonal cutout in here. So that's kind of nice. I use an octo gate on my arcade stick, so that's what I prefer. But yeah, it's sort of like a Rory mini pad, but made for adults with normal size hands. And the D-pad's nice. It's just a nice quality controller. And, especially with the problems that the original N64 pads have with the analog stick, to me, something like this is almost sort of a no-brainer purchase. This is really, to me, this is what the form factor and the layout, that's what the Nintendo 64 controller should have been. Like, once Nintendo figured out that the analog stick was going to be sort of the primary input rather than the D-pad, I really wish they had redesigned the controller and done something like this. So anyway, Michael, thank you so much for this. It's very thoughtful of you, and this is probably going to become my standard go-to Nintendo 64 controller now. Next package we've got here comes from Michael. And I don't remember, Michael, where you are. Well, somewhere in Vermont, Essex. It was in Essex, Vermont. And Michael sent me an email and wanted to know if I was interested in this PlayStation Underground disc set that he found somewhere. And I don't remember if I guess I showed them when I did my PlayStation collection video, that I kind of collect these things. And I would scoop them up whenever I would see them at thrift stores and whatnot. This was something that I think you could only get through the mail. I don't believe you could buy these things in stores, unlike the other demo discs like the Jam Pack discs and whatnot. And I have 5 sets of these, but they're all from the PlayStation 1 days. But this one is from the PS2, and it certainly appears to be for the launch. It's got, somebody put their return address label on here. I guess the original owner. That's not Mike's address. And like it even says on here, North American launch 10/26/2000. And, it's got some information about the PlayStation 2 on here. It comes with this cool little booklet talking about the PS2. And then it comes with 2 discs. And I don't have a PlayStation hooked up at the moment, so I have not checked this out yet. But it's pretty awesome, and it's a nice addition to the collection. This is Underground 4.3. I think the latest one I have is 3.2. So I think this was a quarterly release, and I think it was like 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So I think this is the 4th volume, and then, issue 3, if you want to call it that. So thank you very much for that, Mike. And then he also sent, along with, he of course included a letter, and so that's obviously awesome. He sent a handful of postcards, 3 postcards from, I guess, around his home area, as I said, he himself is in Essex, Vermont, but we've got some postcards here from Burlington, Vermont, which certainly looks like a very nice place. I've never been to New England, as I believe I've said before, but I sure would love to visit at some point. Take my wife over there, and then here's a nice covered bridge. Looks pretty cool, like something out of like Beetlejuice. Remember, isn't that how I forgot their names? Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. I forgot their names, but that's how they died, right? Was they were driving across a covered bridge, and the bottom fell out. I don't know. That's kind of grim to say, but what a cool movie, Beetlejuice. I haven't watched that one in a while, but anyway, that's pretty cool. And then I kind of felt bad about this, just because this was an expensive package to mail. Really, only because of this last thing. He paid almost $17 to ship this. Which another package we have here, someone paid over $20. Which don't you guys know about flat rate boxes? I mean, it's your money. Don't get me wrong. I just you could be sending stuff a lot cheaper. Anyway, he said he wanted to send something from his hometown or not hometown but home area, and so he sent me some Vermont maple syrup. Which I feel like I could say I love maple syrup, but I mean, who doesn't love maple syrup? And it's grade A, which he said in his letter this is a darker syrup than usual. Like, I am not a maple syrup expert, but I know there's also grade B, which is really dark. And but yeah, I mean, anyway, what's the difference? But I said to him, I sent him back I don't want to say because then he'll get to read it. But yeah, I don't know. I love maple syrup. He even said in there, I think that would go good with sausages, which of course, maple syrup goes great with breakfast sausages, and of course it goes good with pancakes and waffles. But I try not to eat that stuff just because But anyway, so thank you so much, Mike, for the syrup and for the PlayStation Underground discs. Next, and again, I'm not really doing these in any order, so because this is one that came in kind of a long time ago too. Yeah, January 22nd. This comes from Tommy, Two Kings on YouTube. He's another. I can't say he's a live stream regular because he works on Tuesdays, so he doesn't get to watch most of the live streams live, which is kind of a bummer. But regular viewer of the show will say he again sent me a letter, which private. But then he sent me a T-shirt, which is a really cool shirt. I don't know if did you design this shirt? I don't really understand how this came to be, but it's a cool shirt. And this comes sort of in a response, or whatever you want to call it, as a result of the Christmas show, flashback show that I did. Because one of the Christmases I talked about, I think it was the second one, was the Christmas of 1988, which I said was the most Christmassy Christmas or whatever. And so he sent me this shirt, which, get it to unfold there. You see it says 1988, but all the numbers have little Santa hats on them. So that's why I'm saying, I can't imagine that is a shirt, a design that's already available, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it's a cool shirt, and it's on one of these, the brand is Canvas, which I have a couple of these shirts, and they're really nice quality. They're 100% cotton, and they're very, very soft, kind of like American Apparel shirts. Like, I know some people like those Gildan shirts, or however you say it. To me, it feels like you're wearing a potato sack, and I can't wear those. But these are these nicer, sort of tailored, slightly slimmer fit shirts. But anyway, it was just it's cool just because of the meaning behind it, and so for that reason, it was extremely thoughtful, Tommy, and so really thank you very much. Next. So we have one more package, and then we have one more thing that I ordered that I am saving for the end, and you'll understand why in a minute. So this box just came in today, and this comes from Mike McFly is his YouTube name. It's not his real name. Normally I wouldn't say someone's last name, but his real last name isn't McFly. From Lake City, Florida, and we've definitely gotten a postcard from Mike before. Now, Mike has a YouTube channel which I feel bad because I don't remember off the top of my head the name of your channel, but I'll put it in a little graphic there if anybody wants to check it out. So Mike does, and I'm telling the story for a reason, but Mike makes these rollerblading videos. I don't know if you call it extreme rollerblading. I don't, he does like, like he'll skate and he'll grind down a rail, or he'll jump off of some stairs and like do a 180 in the air and then land backwards. And I'm watching one of these videos, and I guess it was on the University of Florida campus maybe or something. It was at night, and it was him and his buddy, and they were like filming each other. And they're doing all of this nutty stuff, right, with grinding and jumping, and they're wearing like no protective gear, like at all. So I sent him a postcard. I was like, that guy sent me a postcard before. So I went into the box of postcards, and I found the one from him and copied his address onto a new postcard. And I just wrote in real big letters on the postcard, "Wear a helmet," and sent it back to him. And he sent me an email afterwards that, "Oh, it's cool. I've been doing this for a while or whatever." And like, I totally get it, but what's not cool, Mike, is skull fractures. I say that it's funny because like for me, I don't wear a helmet when I ride my bike ever. I hate bike helmets, and I won't. If I was mountain biking, maybe, but for road cycling, I won't wear a helmet. I take a lot of grief for not wearing a helmet. People at work will see me, "Oh, where's your helmet?" I will get strangers, cyclists out on the road, who will yell at me, "Helmet!" And one time, because I get tired of that stuff, And so one time, like I'm cycling this way, and the other guy's cycling the other way, and we're out in the middle of the country on some country road, and he just yells out, "Helmet!" And I just turned around and just yelled, "Mind your own effing business," except I didn't say effing. Because it's just like, mind your own business. To me, like the biggest thing that's going to happen to me on a road bike is getting hit by a car. And if I'm out on some country road and I get hit by some car going like 60 or 70 miles an hour, I don't really see what my helmet is going to do for me. And hey, maybe at some point I'll be doing the show from a wheelchair and you guys can all tell me that I'm wrong. But it was just like, every time I'm watching Mike's video, and every time he's like jumping and landing backwards, all I can imagine is him falling backwards and smacking the back of his head on the concrete. And I shouldn't even say that, Mike. I'm sure nothing's going to happen. But I was just like, I was like cringing, like, ooh, every time. And so that's why I was like, I said in the postcard, which really I shouldn't do because, like I said, it makes me a hypocrite. And anyway, so Mike sent me an email and told me to keep an eye out for this box. And it just came here today, and I gotta show the box just because, a long time ago on Flashback, I talked about TV dinners, and I don't know, was that its own episode of Flashback? I can't even remember anymore. But I was talking about Salisbury steak and stuff like that, and I think Mike left a comment talking about how he could relate. A lot of people said that they could relate to that, except for Mike. Rather than being Salisbury steak, it was, I think, these frozen pizzas. And so after he packed up this box, he put on 3 sides, I guess he got one of these Elio's cheese pizza boxes and cut it out and put it on 3 sides. Let me just cover up his address here, because he put it on top. Because, Mike, I want you to appreciate the care with which I opened your package. Because he put it, on the bottom too, down there, but on the top. So there was, ostensibly there was no way to open the box without cutting the Elio's thing. And so what I ended up having to do was cut around the box and make a flap and then get under it and open it. So that way I could open it without defacing good old Elio here. But this is really quite a box of stuff that he sent. And so I'm going to show this stuff in not any particular order, except I'm saving certain things for last for, again, reasons you'll see in a minute. I guess, I shouldn't start off with this because it's obviously the sort of the biggest thing, if you want to call it that. I was not aware of the existence of this game. It's for the NES. It was put out by Retro USB. and it's called Larry and the Long Look for a Luscious Lover. But if you look at the screenshots on the back, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like somebody just ported the first Leisure Suit Larry to the NES and changed the name a little bit, which is, don't get me wrong, that's pretty awesome. And yeah, and it comes in one of these box protectors. I haven't actually opened it. I literally just opened this whole package right before I started making this video, because to be honest, this package came and I was just like, okay, this is too much stuff. Like, I don't know how long this video is already, but I'm sure it's ridiculous. So yeah, so I didn't get too much of a chance to check this stuff out. But so here's the, oh, it comes in a cool see-through. I don't know if you can tell that it's see-through, but just trust me, it's see-through. Dark blue cartridge shell. Retro USB, I believe, is the same company that makes the AVS, right? If I'm not mistaken. But they also make, well, you can't really call it a reproduction, right? I mean, it's a homebrew. Homebrew NES games. And what else is in here? You get, it's kind of a cool dust cover, clear, and it says Retro USB on it. And then it has, oh wow. So, I don't, maybe it's not a big deal, but it actually has the styrofoam thing. I wonder if they sell these, because I could use a few more of these if you can buy them by themselves. And it comes with the manual. So this would be a cool game to do on a live stream. You know, I wanted to start doing, well, I am starting to do some PC games, and I want to stream a Sierra adventure game, which I'm definitely going to do, but then maybe separately one night we could see how far we can get in this over the course of a single live stream. So anyway, Mike, that's just a really, I certainly wasn't expecting anything like this. What a cool thing. So thank you so much. And there's more stuff here. All right. So now we get to some more stuff here. He sent some candy, so I always appreciate that. We got some now and laters. Did I talk about now and laters on a flashback episode? You know, these were, I don't know, maybe I was in like 5th grade. I don't, 5th grade sounds right, is when I remember now and laters coming out, and they were like the cool candy to eat. Rightfully so, because they're delicious. And then he also sent me a bag of Skittles. This is wild berry and tropical, which wild berry is actually my Skittle of choice. So I appreciate that. So thank you so much. So I'm running out of room here on the desk. We got some Atari stickers. You can see, so these are kind of these, what do you want to call that? Like iridescent. So these remind me of the stickers that you would get out of a vending machine, like at a liquor store or something when you were a kid. I guess you can still get them now, but you know, when you were a kid, you thought these were cool. And I guess as an adult, I don't really buy stickers out of vending machines anymore. You know why? Is because like you go to one of those vending machines and it'll be like NFL stickers, right? But like you only want the sticker if it's your team. Like I don't want to put money in there and then get like the Seattle Seahawks coming out of there. But yeah, so anyway, I don't know, those are pretty cool stickers. I don't know what I'm going to put them on, but I'll think of something. So thank you also for that. What else? Oh, so these are, he mentions these in his letter, that he found these, I forgot where did he say, well, I don't want to waste your guys' time, where he said he found these cards. Oh, at a Dollar Tree. Well, that's kind of cool. So they're, you know, like casinos will sell their cards after they're done with them. And but you can kind of see in the window there that these say Sam's Town on them, and Sam's Town Hotel and Gambling Hall in Las Vegas. So it's not 100% clear to me if this Sam's Town is associated with the Sam's Town that I talked about in the very first episode of Flashback, but that'd be kind of a weird coincidence if it wasn't, right? So I assume that it must be. So so that's pretty cool. These are still sealed, of course. But, you know, I might just open these and have these be our new playing cards. But that's obviously extremely thoughtful. And then we got a book in here. Come here. And this one's pretty cool. This is from Marvel Comics, which I didn't know that these existed. But it's Beavis and Butthead. Graphic novel. Beavis and Butthead's Greatest Hits. I don't know, does that count as a graphic novel? I guess it's just... selected stories out of the normal comic book. But, you know, we haven't ever talked about that, but I was a pretty big fan of Beavis and Butthead back in its day, sort of in the, you know, early 90s, I guess, you know, 92, 93, 94, whenever that was. So this is really cool. So thanks so much for that. And then the last thing, I say this for last, he sent me a bundle of Hot Wheels track, which is funny. I was joking around with my wife because I got into, so there's this guy who's a friend of mine at work, and we just, whenever we get together, we start sort of needling each other and giving each other a hard time about stuff, having friendly arguments. And we were having this dumb argument one day about if I set up a Hot Wheels track starting on the top step of my staircase here at home and having it go all the way down to the bottom, if there's some way I could configure the track so that the car would not fly off the track. And I'm trying to explain to him, you just got to bank it right, and et cetera, et cetera. And his whole thing was, well, now you're gonna have to try it. And I said that I thought if I started getting into setting up Hot Wheels track, that might be what finally got my wife to divorce me. I was joking, obviously, but I told my wife about that, and she just kind of laughed. But now I've got some Hot Wheels track, so now I guess I just have to buy a launcher. And but I think the reason that Mike sent this in is that I mentioned on Twitter that I was starting to get into, I don't know, can you call it collecting Hot Wheels? I don't know. Oh, well, first here, he sent a postcard. Let's just show that real quick. It says, visit picturesque Green Hill Zone. And that's pretty, it looks like, it kind of looks like one of those Thomas Kincaid paintings, but then somebody painted, I don't know if you can see him there. You got Sonic right there, and then Dr. Robotnik in his little ship up there. Really cool postcard, though. So thanks. Anyway, sorry for the Hot Wheels interruption. But so anyway, I just mentioned that I was kind of, I guess collecting Hot Wheels. I don't know. I'm not really. It's, you go to Target and it's just something to make the trip fun. Like you're there to buy, toilet paper and Windex and whatever else boring stuff. And then while you're there, it's like what I was saying in the last episode about the Lego sets. It's just like, stop by the toy section. Maybe there's a new Speed Champions Lego set. Maybe there's a new Hot Wheel that would be cool to have. And so I just kind of started, picking up Hot Wheels when I think that they're cool. And so Mike sent me 3 here. This first one is just loose, which, I open them, so I don't care that it's loose at all. That's a Volkswagen, what does it call it? It calls it a Type 181. I've only ever heard these things called a thing. Volkswagen thing, and this one is a convertible. Although I don't think you're supposed to take the top off, so I'm not. Well, can you? Well, I don't want to break it anyway. So we got like sort of this desert sand color Volkswagen thing, and the next one is one of these. So this is like a premium Hot Wheel. Because standard Hot Wheels cost $1 still, which is great, but then Hot Wheels make sort of these more premium jobs, and they'll charge like $3, $4, $5 for them. And 2018 was the 50th anniversary of Hot Wheels, so they had all these Hot Wheels 50, which you can still buy them at the store, even though now it's 2019 models, but they're higher quality. And so this is an example of that. This is a 55 Chevy Bel Air gasser, it's called. I don't really know what that means. But unlike newer Hot Wheels, I guess one of the ways that they've been able to keep the price down is that like now the bottoms of the Hot Wheels are plastic. Even though the body is metal, the bottom is plastic. And of course, Hot Wheel, the tires on them are plastic, but at least for as long as I've been playing with Hot Wheels, which is like since 1981, they've always been plastic. But for these new ones, these higher end ones, I should say, they actually give them rubber tires, which we don't need that anymore, which just gives them more of a premium feel and kind of makes them cooler if you're actually kind of, driving around your desk or whatever. So like here's the 50, what did I say it was, a 56? No, I forgot. 55 Chevy Bel Air. But so it's got a metal bottom and rubber tires on it, and top's green. But so anyway, and it's heavier, and so it's just a bit of a more premium product. Although I got to be honest with you and tell you, obviously I don't have kids, but if I did, I would spring for these most of the time, just because I think that they're honestly better Oh, I see. This is like, it's got like hydraulics in it. So the front is up a little bit. That's pretty neat there. You know, I'd spring for these. Like, I know kids destroy everything, but you know, I don't know, whatever. And then this last one, this is one I've actually been actively looking for, but have been unable to find. So, you know, back in the day when we were kids, the two big brands of these little toy cars, not including Micro Machines, which came later, but which were awesome, were Hot Wheels and Matchbox. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Matchbox cars are older than Hot Wheels, are they not? And they're so named because they used to come in little boxes. But, you know, you go to Target or wherever, you know, Walmart or, you know, wherever, and you can still get both, but usually Hot Wheels have a lot more shelf space than Matchbox. But then the weird thing is that now Mattel owns Matchbox, so Mattel makes both. So I don't really know why they still make both. Because, so he sent me one Matchbox car, and that is a Porsche Cayman, which he knows that I have a particular interest in. And so that's why I've been looking for this particular car. Now, much like what I said about sort of the base model Hot Wheels, the same is true with Matchbox. So like the bottom of this now is plastic. The wheels are plastic. Like I said, they always were. Although, you know, sometimes I look at Matchbox cars and I could swear they have just a little bit more detail than a Hot Wheels car does. This appears to be for any Porsche nerds out there, a 987.2, if I had to guess. Cayman 987.2. It's in either white, or maybe that's more of a chalk. Chalk is actually, if I were to buy a new Porsche, I would get a chalk color. I really like that color. But anyway, yeah, so we got that. So as if this video wasn't already long enough, let's put these into the Hot Wheels case real fast, which I just coincidentally happen to have right down here. This is a case that I got off of Amazon. It's originally meant for, I think, spools of thread. But I think most of the people, based on reading the reviews of this thing on Amazon, it certainly seems like most people who buy this case are buying it to put Hot Wheels in. Because as you can see, with the exception of the General Lee right there, which does not fit, they all fit great. Now, to be fair, the General Lee is not a Hot Wheels or Matchbox product, and so I think it just doesn't conform to the scale that those are. Although Hot Wheels doesn't actually use a specific scale. So we're going to go ahead and put all of Mike's cars in here, the Volkswagen thing. And I'm going to do a little bit of rearranging here because I think these two Bel Airs should go together. And plus the Porsche should go up with its family. So we'll put lock out the top row with all Porsches. And move the NSX down like that. I feel good about that. So now here is what everything, I don't want them to come out. There's what everything looks like. So yeah, so I'm not trying to start hoarding or stockpiling Hot Wheels. So I try to be really choosy about which ones I buy. But I will say for sure, Mike, that if I had seen the Volkswagen or the Porsche, I for sure would have bought those, and maybe the Bel Air too. I don't know. It looks pretty dang cool in there, especially next to its sibling. So thank you so much, Mike, for the Hot Wheels. I really appreciate it. So that does it for viewer contributions, and I only have really one more thing, although it's kind of two more things. And I said I was saving this for last for a reason, and again that'll become clear in a second. So. One of the things I like collecting is old video game guides and old video game books. And so I ordered two of them off of eBay. And the first one here, this one also just came in today, which is odd because it took, this person took forever to ship this out. And normally, it took long enough that normally I would have contacted them or otherwise made a stink. But I got a really good deal on it, and so I just kind of didn't want to rock the boat. And that is a Super Metroid official Nintendo Player's Guide. And I got what I think is a very good deal on this book. It was $40, including shipping, which is certainly a lot for one of these things, except if you look on eBay these days, most of these books are really not cheap anymore, especially if it's a dedicated book for a beloved game. Like go see how much they want for like the Chrono Trigger book or an Earthbound book. So $40 I thought was a good deal, and that was $40 with free shipping. And I had kind of read the person's feedback and noticed that they were slow to ship to somebody else, and that person complained, and the seller basically just said like, "Oh, I don't have the item anymore," and just gave him a refund. And I just didn't want that happening to me because I've been looking for this book on eBay for a while, and I just couldn't stomach paying what it was going for most of the time. And overall, the book's in good condition. The cover has a lot of like wrinkles in it, just from somebody reading it. But it's all here, even the little, there's like a fold out section in the middle that, has like maps. This side folds out too, but I can't really hold it up and do that. And, all the interior pages are in nice condition. It's just the cover that's not. So, I don't really care. But Super Metroid is a game that I thought it would be cool to do a live stream of. And I don't know, I just think it's neat when I'm live streaming a game to have the guide out. And so that's why I've been kind of looking for this one. So that one was cool to have. But the other one that I got, so I was on eBay at work, which and here's an example of why you shouldn't do that, aside from the obvious reason of why you shouldn't be on YouTube at work. I got this Super NES Nintendo Player's Guide, which obviously came out very early in the Super Nintendo's life. It covers all of the launch games and I think all of the games that I covered in my Super Nintendo in 1991 episode. But and it covers a few 1992 games like I think Zelda: Link to the Past is in here, and like a few other games that slipped into 92, but very early Super Nintendo games. And I would have sworn to you that I did not have this. But, of course, I got home and found that, in fact, I did have it. So I just realized that I left this monitor on at a very high brightness setting. So that kind of sucks. It's getting darker in here because the sun's going down. So I guess that helps. Nobody watches this show for the lighting. Anyway, so I found that I already have the book. And this is the reason I saved this until the end, is that I figured I would do a giveaway and give this book out to one of you guys. But I just want stuff like this going to people who are really into the show. And but I actually have 3 books here to give away. And these are all books that I have duplicates of. So the first one, of course, is the Super Nintendo Player's Guide. The second one is Top Secret Passwords Nintendo Player's Guide. And this one is from the NES days. I don't think there's Game Boy games in here. No, there are some Super Nintendo games in here as well. So NES, Game Boy, and Super Nintendo. I don't know when this book came out. 92. So a pretty cool book. So top secret. And then the last one is, and this one's a little bit older, I think. 1990. Nintendo Power Strategy Guide, 4-player extra. So again, all 3 of these guides are duplicates. And rather than trying to somehow sell them, I would rather just give them away to you guys. So what I want to do is I want to give them out separately, and not like one person doesn't get all 3. So basically all you have to do, just send an email into the show, cgquarterly@gmail.com. And just in the subject line, please put guide giveaway. And then what I would ask you to please do in the body of the email is basically rank these 3 guides in your order of preference of which of the 3 of them you would like to have. Because maybe you already have one of these or something. Like, maybe you already have the Super Nintendo one, and so that's not going to be your first choice. Maybe you want this one. So just go one, 1, 2, 3. Which of the three, do you want? And if you already have one of these, just say you already have it. Because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to randomly pick 3 people out of all of the emails I get, and those 3 people will get one each of these. And maybe it'll make it easier. Maybe it'll be more organic if, one person just wants this one or that one or whatever. So yeah, just do that, and I'll probably let it go for like a week. Like maybe, so today is Monday, so maybe next Tuesday before the live stream, I'll do the drawing or whatever, and then that way I can announce the winners on the live stream. How fun would that be? So yeah, I don't think I'm forgetting anything here. So I think that's it. That feels like it was a really long episode. We'll see when I hit stop on the camera. But yeah, so just a huge thank you again to all of you guys who sent stuff into the show. It really does mean a lot to me, just because it goes to show, how so many of you feel about the show and how much you enjoy it. And that's why I do it. So I think that's why I'm more excited about making videos on this channel than the other channel, to be honest. And again, if anybody wants a postcard, all you got to do is send a postcard into the show, and you get one sent right back to you. So how cool is that? So that's going to do it for this episode of CGQ Plus. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.